of Pokot South, right? Yeah. Your colleague in the house. Of course, this and much more, Mheshimiwa. I'm just going to ask you to hold it there because just after the break, we're going to talk about more people or things that may be driving this banditry agenda. The people behind it. We have had allegations of names being thrown around here and there. Right now, we just get it. This is something that happened 35 minutes ago. Pokot South Member of Parliament, David Kassim, has been arrested by DCI officers. Of course, more names that have been thrown around. We want to put it here into the limelight. Some of these people or the driving factors that are pushing this banditry agenda. This and much more after the break.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
I was to be a junior pastor. I felt I was in the wrong belief system. And that's when now I started looking into Islam.
Nilitaka kujua huwa wanaabudu nini. Because of that experience, I made a decision that almost ruined my life.
Nikaanza kushika hizi verses za Quran. Zilikuwa zinanifurahisha sana, especially ukisikia watu wakizirecite.
Nikafungua Qur'an, ilikuwa Kiswahili. Nilimanejingi tu kusoma aya moja tu kidogo kabla nipate Mwenyezi Mungu ameumba bingu 7 na ardhi 7. Hiyo ni jambo sikuwa nimewahi sikia.
I was convinced that Islam is a true religion. I'm getting emotional.
News is about facts, and here on the Muslim Insight, we go beyond the headlines.
The Qadis, apart from being judicial officials, they are also critical members of our society.
We look at all the angles of the story as we bring stories that matter to you.
I am totally convinced generations to come will have the office of the Chief Qadi.
Join us on the Muslim Insights as we bring you the weekly news recap.
Enzi za wakati wa kusema ati alisema akasisitiza akihutubia wanahabari, enzi hizo hazipo tena.
Every Friday from 8 a.m. only on HorizonTV.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much for keeping it live. Of course, we are talking about banditry or terrorism. Let's call it for what it is. Let's stop this tagging you call them banditry. This is actual act of terrorism. And of course, I'm urging the country, at the end of the day, not all Turkanas are terrorists, not all Pokots are terrorists. These are just but some few characters who are there inside the bushes trying to make the rest of the country have sleepless nights. I hope you will remember this when any unfortunate incident, God forbid, happened anywhere else in the world, and you should not victimize or profile any Muslim, whether your colleague, your neighbor, your friend, or someone that you do business with. I hope you will not profile him. I hope you will not victimize them. At the end of the day, we are one people, one Kenya, one nation. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And thank you so much for keeping it here in studio. We're talking about some of the driving factors that are actually promoting terrorism in the northern part of the country, northwestern part of the country. And just before the break, we read about Mheshimiwa David, who is actually arrested, who was arrested by the DCA officers and brought in for questioning over allegations that he has been supporting banditry. Your other colleague, Honorable Anamoit, another member of parliament of Turkana, I think Turkana South, yes, Turkana South member of parliament, Honorable Anamoit Ariko John, 2 days ago on the national television, he's on record saying that politicians are actually some of the people who are supporting this. Baringo women representative on the spot in front of the president called out Mheshimiwa William Komket and said Tiati, member of parliament, knows where these people are and asked the president to ask William Komket, Mheshimiwa, to take the president and the whole police officers to where some of these people are. So clearly or vividly, there is no evidence, of course, right? But again, there are a lot of allegations moving around or being thrown around. But still, with these allegations, it gives an indication that there may be possibilities of some strong, influential people involved in this and actually facilitating some of these terrorists outside there. Mheshimiwa, what's your take on that?
I think, yeah, that's a very good point, and I've seen a lot of debate on the same matter. Before I joined Parliament, I used to work with civil society, and one of the areas I really worked on were areas of peace and security, particularly pastoralist conflicts in northern Kenya. And these are not new stories. You hear people discuss in whispers about some of these things, even when you are out there. But I would say Kenya is not a failed state. Kenya is a country with institutions which are working. We are a country which has got security agencies which are vibrant. We are a country which has got, thankfully now, a president who has shown goodwill to fight insecurity and pastoral conflicts in this country. And he stands a very better chance than any of the past presidents to deal with this problem, particularly this terrorism that is going on in the northwestern country, because him being from that region, and him understanding the issues of that region very well, and him being in a part a pastoralist himself. True. You know, he has a historical opportunity to deal with this problem once and for all. Now, having said that, they normally say where there is a smoke, there is fire.
There is fire.
And I think because we have institutions, we have a functioning government, we have a very vibrant police force and security intelligence and security investigative agencies. I think wherever there is some pointer, the wananchi and leaders have pointed to a certain direction, let them do the investigation. Let them unearth exactly what people are saying, whether it is true or not. And if any of those members are found culpable, then let the full force of the law take its course. Because we cannot, 58, 59 years since independence, we cannot keep on, going around, development issues so that we can sacrifice dealing with securities, since 1963, dealing with the same issues up to today. And there are people who would want to use perhaps the question of insecurity as a populist agenda so that they can prop themselves politically. If there are any leaders who are culpable and who have been found, guilty as accused, then I think the full force of the law should take its course. Otherwise, I think we've heard these stories many times.
And it's time to put it to rest.
Pardon?
It's time to put it to rest.
It is time to put it to rest.
We cannot keep on condoning.
And I don't think there is anything hidden from the government, state agencies.
Really?
They just need to show the goodwill, and they just need to come out and help us put this matter to rest once and for all.
Interesting, Mheshimiwa. Thanks so much for bringing that point up. And of course, this point that actually the next one is maybe actually relating directly to you. So still looking at some of the probable or possible causes that may be leading to banditry or terrorism in some of these areas. Someone would argue some of these cases maybe it's because of land conflicts, maybe one person from a particular community was taking his herd into another area where there was more water or more pasture, maybe for the animals to feed from there. And of course, as a result, brings about conflict, some are stolen, whatever. A lot of stories around it, right? And of course, brings me now to the question, do you think by any way or any chance that quote-unquote underdevelopment may be a contribution to the tourism experience in that area?
Definitely. It is not the only thing, but it is a major thing. Now, look, we have grown as a country. Even the population of our people has grown. So we have more mouths to feed, we have more children to take to school, we have more patients to treat in our hospitals, and we have more roads to do, and we have, so, and coupled with the difficulties brought about by climate change and drought, which has become an incessant, something that has refused to go away, the resources are becoming scarce in all ways. The pastures, livestock being the main economic earner for the people from that region. When there is no pasture, when there is no water, it means definitely the economy of the pastoralist will go down. Yeah. But I'll bring in something here. Having said that, you know, the government has not provided for the growing needs of the people from that region as required. And I look at it, there are two types of violence.
Are you looking at? Are you looking at the national government or the county government?
Both.
Okay.
And I'll look at it from this perspective. We have, first of all, I'll tell you, we have two types of violence here. And people are concentrating more on the physical violence that is happening. You know, people using guns, killing another fellow person, or taking away livestock. You know, that physical violence is what people are concentrating on. There is another more dangerous violence that people are not concentrating on, that is killing our people slowly, and it is really having a big impact. That is what we call the human security perspective. You know, if you have no food, and you sleep hungry, you have no fees to pay for your child, and you see your child dropping out of school, you have no money to pay for your Medicare, you cannot pay rent, you cannot access water, you cannot access transport, then that person, even if there is no guns flying around, that person will forever remain unpeaceful. His condition, his context in which he's living in is an unpeaceful situation. And let me tell you, nobody will want to see die from hunger if they can do something about it. If somebody does not provide food for you through a conventional means, you will try to find that food through non-conventional means.
True. Regardless of the situation. Yeah.
So this underdevelopment is a contributor in a big way. As I told you, we have a big population, especially the bulging youth population in the entire northern Kenya is a very serious matter, unless we address that. And
Mheshimiwa, here when you're talking about underdevelopment, or quote-unquote, some would choose to use the word that marginalization, that the area or the region has been marginalized. Mheshimiwa, we have county governments here that receives billions of money from the national government annually. We have the members of parliament who are actually receiving billions in totality when it comes to the NGCDF. So are we still honestly pointing at the government and the national government, saying that we are being underdeveloped in these areas?
No, not at all. Actually, I was coming to that. I was trying to drive to that, but it's good you have raised it at this point. I think we have now devolved units. We have county governments, which is receiving their shareable revenue at the counties. We're still fighting for more. You know, 15% is not enough. We want to push it up to 30%.
35%, I'm saying.
And more.
Yeah.
But those 50 years, and still we talk about marginalization? No. Those days when we used to point fingers to the center and blame the center are gone. We have resources which have been devolved to our regions. They are not as enough as we would have wished to be, but they are enough to help our people solve some of the problems, especially through the devolved functions that we have. The NGCDF money that is coming to our counties, they are not a lot of money, but if they are prudently used, they can
substantial.
Help so many schools, so many students who lack bursary, and so many securities facilities that needs improvement. Therefore, we cannot talk about marginalization anymore. It is the high time the people from northern Kenya, pastoralists from northern Kenya, whether you are from northeast or whether you are from northwest, we sit down and look at what homegrown solutions can we have in order to bring our people out of the underdevelopment that we are seeing. But let me tell you, the last 10 years of devolved county governments, there are a lot of bad things that have happened, but the little good things that have happened are life-changing. You will see a lot of physical infrastructure in those parts. A lot of water facilities have been developed. A lot of markets have been developed. There is money flowing around, and some business can happen. It's just that the economy is so bad now.
Of course, they're being affected right now by the drought.
It is not all doom and gloom. Something is happening, but I think we can do better, and we cannot blame the center anymore. What we can do, we have elected leaders. For example, all the pastoral counties, we have 105 members of parliament who are elected from those regions. That makes a third of parliament.
And they are homegrown, nobody from outside.
A third of parliament comes from northern Kenya. If there is any policy agenda that the government is enacting, which is not good for the people of northern Kenya, which is not good for the pastoralists, if these 105 members of parliament from pastoralist region, who cut across all religions, who cut across all tribes, come together and say, we will stand for what is good for northern Kenya, I think things will happen in this country. So it's high time we had a mind shift in our leaders, MPs like myself, senators, and other MPs elected from this region. We have already come together under the umbrella of the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group. It's high time we strengthen that group. It's a high time we bridged all the fissures, all the cracks, so that we are united on the agenda for northern Kenya. And it's a high time the governors also who are elected from that region. We have a good number of governors in the Council of Governors. They have a voice. They can make a decision that will make the other governors go with them.
Actually, even the vast of the COG is coming from a region.
Exactly. Even this matter of insecurity, we can sit together as Pastoralist Parliamentary Group members, both senators and MPs, sit with our governors and ask ourselves, what do we need to do as a region to help the national government deal with this problem? I refuse the idea that we are marginalized, we are isolated, and I refuse to get into that mindset, because once you feel you are marginalized, you're already telling yourself you're a victim.
Like the victim mentality.
Exactly. We are not victims. Northern Kenya is a very rich region. We have a lot of livestock. I told you, we contribute 13% of the GDP.
Not to mention that your caucus is the largest caucus in parliament.
It's the largest caucus in parliament.
Yes.
So we just need to put our acts together and stop blaming other Kenyans.
Yes.
If we are disunited and if we don't have any agenda for our region, I don't think it's good to blame other people who fight for their region.
It's like pointing with one finger and then the three fingers forgetting that are pointing back at you.
Exactly.
Exactly. Mosh, I really like what you say about looking for homegrown solutions. I mean, that is something that is very important. And just brought me to another point. With the NGCDF money, some of the infrastructural development that we mentioned includes schools. And we've seen a number of schools built there. But again, socially, a number of people, a number of communities from the northern Kenya or the ASAL regions, to be precise, they do not value education as much. They don't see it as a priority compared to herding cattle, compared to pastoralism, basically, right? If you look at, for example, 2021, when the schools reopened, 2022, sorry, when the schools reopened, at least 1.2 million children, primary-going children, did not report back to school. At least 1.2 million. And of course, this is not a unique situation. It's something that has been happening. So basically, when you're talking about social solutions, homegrown social solutions, how then can we try and teach these communities or people within the social structures, or maybe educate them within the social structures, and at least make sense out of everything, so as to address this quote-unquote marginalization or underdevelopment in the region?
Very good. I think that's a very good point, and I am happy you've raised it. Education. If you want to destroy a society, deny them education. And education actually is a universal human rights agenda. And the people of that region, and if I may talk about particularly the northeastern, actually the entire northern Kenya, we have a lot of challenges when it comes to education in the region, both in terms of infrastructure and also in terms of personnel. Believe you me, Mandera County, for example, where I come from, has 58% teacher shortage as we speak now. 58% teachers.
Even with the 30,000 teachers that are being recruited now by the government.
Even with that number, actually, that is from the very recent statistics. We have 58% teacher shortage. And a county like Rinyaga has only 1% teacher shortage.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of inequity.
Disparity
And inequity in the education sector. And it has got something to do with some historical injustices that have been subjected to the people of this region by the successive Kenyan governments and by the successive education sector managers in this country before. We have tried our best this time from Mandera. The current governor, who was elected on 9th August, has actually done something that no other governor has ever done in this country. He has made the secondary education for all those students studying in secondary schools in Mandera free for the next 5 years. And he's going to pay that money using bursary from the county coffers. That is committing 350 million per year to that kitty, and which is supposed to support about 200,000 students, secondary students who are studying in Mandera, is not a mean feat. It is something to be proud of. The members of parliament from Mandera County, we are 6 of us. Each one of us have committed to pay 45 million per year from the NGCDF kitty to the bursary kitty. So 45 million times 6 constituencies is 270 million per year. So add that to the 350 the county government is paying, and we are contributing as leaders from that region using the different facilities we have. We are contributing 620 million Kenya shillings per year, investing in education for our children. That is part of our homegrown solutions. In my constituency, one of the very serious problems I face, as I have told you, which is also affecting the entire Mandera, is lack of teachers. You see, there's a time in this country when the Teacher Service Commission ordered all the teachers teaching in Northeastern to move out because they said probably they are going to be hit by terrorists, they are going to be hit by Al-Shabaab. And in one instant, at one point, 5,000 teachers were transferred in one day from Northeastern. We have never recovered from that shock. I have gone to a school in my constituency where there are 300 children and there is only the head teacher and the deputy head teacher teaching that school. 300 children.
2 teachers.
Almost 280 students will never see a teacher in the year, and yet they will do exams at the end of the year. The exams
just
that
like
every other. So education, as you said, is a very, so given that problem with the teachers, I've also, we've also sat down as NGCDF committee, and we have decided we will sponsor 150 teacher trainees, students from that region who would want to go and study diploma teacher colleges or diploma secondary school, primary school diploma teachers, or even degree teachers. We've said we'll pay their tuition fee for the next 5 years. Those will be, every year we will be supporting at least 150 who will. This is another way of trying to solve that problem.
That's infrastructural. What about now the social and the cultural bit of it?
The social and the cultural, we are doing a lot of awareness for our people in the mosques. We are doing a lot of awareness in the public barazas that we meet with our people. We're doing a lot of awareness in our own cultural events, weddings. Even when you go to a barrio, you keep on talking about, We've been telling our people this, the world has changed. The context in which we live in has changed. Livestock will not be the only thing that you have to venture into alternative livelihoods. People have to do business. People have to join the transport industry. Others have to join the service industry. Others have to, we're teaching them all of this And by the time most of our students who are now in the colleges finish and come back, most probably we'll have some technical expertise that will be able to do some of the things we're talking about.
Great. Thanks so much, Mheshimiwa. Just we have around 6 minutes to go, and I just want you to help me evaluate some of these mechanisms or other steps that the government has taken. So KDF has been have been deployed to the area, and of course few counties have been put under dusk till dawn curfew. That includes Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Laikipia, and Samburu. Dusk till dawn curfew. Of course, with the deployment of KDF. I have seen on social media, and of course people speaking, that anytime there is a heavy boot on the ground from before, what has been happening is that these terrorists, they come out of the villages, they bury their weapons, and of course reintegrate back in the community and live as though nothing was happening. And then after the boot presence on the ground has left, then they go back into doing what they're used to. Mheshimiwa, with the deployment of KDF and of course the stern warning of His Excellency the President, which the 3 days should be ending today, to the best of my knowledge, for people to voluntarily, right, submit their firearms. What do you think about these measures that have been put? Do you think they will work?
They will work. I believe they will work. If they worked in Mount Elgon, they will also work in Pokot and Turkana. I think in the past we have lacked seriousness. If we do what we did in Mount Elgon,
yeah, with the Sabaot Land Defense Force,
yes, and we employ almost similar tactics or even more firepower in the Kerio Valley, I think we will be able to succeed. Because look, deployment of KDF to that region is better than non-deployment of KDF in any way. Because these bandits had become brazen. Before the KDF were deployed there, what did they do? They left their hideouts. They came to the main highway, shooting passenger vehicles every day, killing students going back to school, killing, you know.
Yeah.
Would you expect the KDF to just sit and watch that?
No.
So they have asked for the boots to come. And now that the boots have come, I think what the government need to do, because bandits like this, they don't know any other holy, the holy thing they know is more firepower than the power they have. And they should be smoked out.
You say, like the proverbial goes, the only way to address a bully is to get a bigger bully.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And the government has the resources, it has the machineries. I think the fact that we have deployed KDF there, it is not illegal for KDF to be sent to a situation like that. Our laws allow it. You know, there are just mechanisms to be followed for that to happen. They have to maintain the stability of the country. And as I told you, this region we are talking about is not a problem that is just confined to our borders. Some of these bandits have their links across the border in Uganda. They have their links across the border in South Sudan. It's a national security matter. And I think it was the right thing to send the KDF. And I believe even our police, the rural border patrol units, and the GSU would have even done this job without even the KDF. If only the government, you know, motivated them enough, remunerated them enough, give them enough facilities, give them enough mobility, food, good salary, good allowances. I think our boys in the police force and the administration police and the GSU and the rural border patrol, we have very professional soldiers, you know, who could even have done that job if they were well motivated.
The governor, who is the former RC, you know, he went out on TV the other day saying that our police have been feeding blue band in their lives, and then they're going to fight people who have interacted with guns and ammunition while they were still young. They've grown into it, so how do you expect them to address this issue? But again, Moshe, I think one of the things that the government really needs to do is to befriend the community there, because in the event that some of these people will want to come back and reintegrate into the community, then at least you'll have members of the community to rat them out and to actually, you know, cause alarm, or rather maybe alert the government in a way or another. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's true. The government can also use, you know, what the Americans call winning hearts and minds. And I think we have very good people out there who are suffering now just because of the bandits who are causing mayhem to everybody. I'm sure there are so many Turkanas, there are so many Pokots, there are so many Marakwets, there are so many people from that region, who Samburus and the rest, who are really suffering for a problem that they never created. But the government needs also to have they need to deal with the bandits and where the bandits are supposed to be ruthlessly, but they also need to treat their citizens well, the poor women and children, those who are going to school, and the poor pastoralists who are herding the animals, especially during this very difficult drought period. The government also needs to have some kind of a diplomatic, approach, give them the necessary facilities they lack, take development to them. I think it's going to be a very long-term thing. It's not something that even if they smoke out these bandits, the government will have a lot of work to do in that region in terms of making sure these people feel the government works for them.
Yes, it's friendly, it's ours.
And that can only happen if government takes development to those people. Health facilities for them, schools for them, water facilities for them, and even buy them livestock if those who have lost livestock during this drought.
Well, that's a very good thing. Mheshimiwa, thank you so much. Thank you so much. My producer is telling me, "Sema wewe maliza short, nenda kuona game ya Barcelona Manchester." It's a big night. Which team do you support?
I am Manu.
Manchester United. Thank you so much, Lakini, for making it up for us this evening and to talk to us about this extremely sensitive topic.
Thank you.
And this is how we wrap up the show tonight. Of course, forget about the small football theatrics. Back into the studio to talk about the serious issue, terrorism or bandits. I said it when we started the show, I said it during the break, and I'm going to say it again. At the end of the day, a terrorist is a terrorist. Yes. Terrorism has no religion. Terrorism has no tribe. Terrorism has no particular cloth or identity. Dear Kenyans, I hope the next time, and in the unfortunate event, we pray it never comes, but in the unfortunate event that again, something happens anywhere in this world done by someone who purports to be a Muslim, I hope we will not victimize Muslims. I hope we will not profile Muslims. But again, we will treat that matter as an isolated matter. At the end of the day, terrorism has no religion, terrorism has no faith, terrorism has no community. We are one nation, one Kenya, one people. My name is Faisal Kassim. Thank you so much for keeping it live. Real Talk. See you next week, same place, same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
I was to be a junior pastor. I felt I was in the wrong belief system. And that's when now I started looking into Islam.
Nilitaka kujua huwa wanaabudu nini. Because of that experience,